People, and even me, I tell you that heartbreak heals over time. But what they don't tell you is that sometimes after a breakup or a relationship ending, you're also starting over financially. And this is something very important that a lot of people don't say. And that kind of healing takes a lot of courage. So when a relationship ends, people usually ask how you're doing mentally. But people forget the other part of it, the financial bit of it. For many people, relationship isn't, the end of a relationship isn't just emotional. It's practical. You're living it. You're going through something. It's very practical. And then suddenly you have all these financial responsibilities that you never had, especially if your other partner was taking care of everything. you know but if you're taking care of everything by yourself, you get some relief because you're not carrying another person on your load. But if you're doing everything, if the other person was taking care of everything, and maybe you're a homestay mom or dad, you start feeling the pinch. And one advice I'd give somebody considering ending a relationship: prepare financially, get something small, start a business, think of ideas, but you know what? An end of a relationship isn't that bad, especially when you plan yourself. Because one of the things, you start making decisions for yourself, which is a great thing. You start planning for the future you never imagined, because maybe you're planning with the other person, but you're doing it yourself. So, and I'll be honest, there are moments when it feels overwhelming, like, why can't I just go back? Not because you regret your decision, but because starting over is expensive, and you have to stop comparing yourself, your new beginning, to someone's middle, or somebody who's done it, and they're now a living proof of success, that when a relationship ends, you can do well. You're just starting out, so take yourself slowly. Don't push yourself that much, and instead focus on building yourself one step at a time. Learn to budget differently. Budgets are very important, especially in planning. It has helped me a lot. I never used to budget. I just used to spend myself. But once I started budgeting, now I can be able to save a bit. I can be able to move. And especially when you're co-parenting with somebody, or somebody is not even uh, it's painful, like, financially, when you're taking care of everything. Kids are going to school, you're the one who's paying fees, and the other person is not helping in any way. You're the one who's catering for the kids, for their shelter, their clothing, their food, their school fees. It's overwhelming, and I can understand that, especially for people who are going. And this financial aspect, people never talk about it, and budgeting really helps that with that. So you distinguish between your wants and your needs. Take care of your needs first, and your kids' needs. And, you know, celebrate those small financial victories, like saving a little, paying off a debt. That is, building an emergency fund. That is a big step, and nobody should tell you anywhere. Even if you're not saving but you're paying off debt, clear off the debt first, and then start building, an emergency fund for yourself, before you think of putting aside, saving. Look for avenues to save. Don't let your money stay in the bank. Look for avenues to save that will bring you additional interest that you never planned for, but now you're getting, because you're saving for future and for your kids. Those things might seem small, but they represent freedom. And when you have time, you can get some assets, in the long run, when you're fully settled and you know what you're doing, and you'll have that peace of mind. And also, another thing I will always ask people is that asking for help doesn't mean that you failed. One of the biggest lessons I've learned myself is you need to ask for help for people who are in your corner. Don't, because I'll tell you of a scenario. I was going through a lot last year. So for me, help was really hard to ask, and I wallowed in pain. And if I didn't have the kind of sisters that I have, I don't think I would have gotten from that phase of my life, because they pushed, they came to check on me, they, and you need such people in your corner. And if you don't have, please if you have children, make your children your source of joy, and think about them, and think how much happier they would be when you're financially stable and they can be able to get everything from you. And depression comes in when you can't be able to function, or you don't have even an outlet to let go of some emotions. Please look for that outlet. And peace has a value. Sometimes the most expensive decision is staying where you're no longer growing or you're no longer needed. So walking away may cost you financially in the short term, but long run you can be able to recover. But at the end of the day, staying in the wrong situation can cost you far more, than you expect. So please don't stay in that situation. You'll rebuild, you'll grow, you'll learn. And I can't advise somebody on specific of what they are going through, but look at your situation and internalize it, and figure out different ways that you can be able to help yourself. And if you have children, you can be able to help yourself. Look for a circle that you trust, people that somebody, or even it can be one person, somebody who has the best interest in your life to share your story with. Because let me tell you something, there are some people you tell something, they go tell everyone, and that becomes your source of grief. Be careful with who you share your stories. Be careful with where you ask for help. Not everybody is in your corner. Some people might be smiling at you, but at the end of the day, there's nothing they'll offer you. So you need to protect your peace. And if you're starting over financially, remember this: you don't have to rebuild everything overnight. It never happens. Small, consistent steps create a lasting change. And if you'd like to share your story, please comment, and this might help other people, especially if you are in that situation and you've moved and now you're very financially stable, or even not financially stable. You're making those meaningful steps towards that liberation, financial liberation. Please share your stories. And at the end of the day, please, guys, we need to grow together. So please subscribe, and like the video, and also share ideas on how we can improve, on how I can improve. And guys, take care of yourselves. Bye bye.